Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I'm so happy to be back with another video. For today's video, as you can tell from the title, we are going to be talking about AI and robots. I'm very excited for this topic, as if you know me well or you've been a longtime subscriber, you know that I'm very fascinated by the phenomenon of robots and AI and human cyborgs, and especially now more than ever, AI is rapidly advancing, and who knows what the future holds for us and robots. So it's very exciting. There's a lot to discuss, a lot to learn still as we are advancing these robots. So the makeup look I'll be doing is going to be more of like a human cyborg-esque type look. It won't be too extreme, but it will be more creative than not. Let's just get started with the video. So as humans, our being is totally unique. It's not technological, we are not able to replicate it perfectly, and it really is not even possible to fully and truly understand. On the other hand, the robots we create are technological. There is undoubtedly a connection between the human and the robot, as all of the data and the knowledge and the algorithms comes from the human creating it. And I think that is very, very important to always remember. So we will see the human being sort of replicated as the robot is being made. Of course, a robot can never become a human truly because we are two separate beings. However, I do think that the robot can replicate a lot, if not all, of the human characteristics, including consciousness. This is a fear that many have, a robot gaining consciousness and then it in some way taking over the world. The fact of the matter is that we don't have enough knowledge about consciousness. We don't even know how to create consciousness. Consciousness is such a mysterious, magical thing, which is also reason for this fear. But I would argue that it's reason why we should have no fear. If we don't know and we are nowhere close to knowing how to create consciousness, then there's really absolutely no way that a robot can create consciousness. I think that it's the mystery of the unknown. The unknown itself is terrifying. And as we continue to create whatever it is that we create, there will always be that unknown factor. And that's just something that will always be there, and we can't have that fear. I think that we just need to trust in ourselves and proceed with caution, because that's the only way to find out. It's important to bring up Descartes, great guy, an influential Western philosopher who, in his meditations, he basically doubted himself over and over and over again, in order to separate his mind from his body and understand what is true and certain about being a human being. He questioned his physical reality and even questioned the thoughts which arose in his mind. He concluded that "I think, therefore I am." That is his well-known philosophy. But before he came to that conclusion, he talked about the source of the thought which brought him to being. And that source was God. Our thoughts and our consciousness do not come from our senses or our body, but rather it comes from God. This infinite being gives us consciousness. I guess in saying this, we have this authenticity to us that's uniquely human, that an AI cannot replicate, at least from Descartes' philosophy. The real question isn't, can AI be conscious? It's, what does it mean to be conscious at all? I wish Descartes was alive today to guide us, but since he is not, I have to be the one to guide everyone and carry all this weight on my shoulders. As AI and robots advance, it brings about deeper questions on what it means to be human. But at the same time, we are gaining answers as to where technology is leading us. Technology, or what we create, is the meaning of our being. I truly think that in creating these robots, we will only be brought closer to understanding the purpose of our humankind. And that's why I think it is such an exciting time. Our nature, as well as the nature around us, provides us with what we need. And the meaning of nature is being, because without nature, we would not live. Technology, on the other hand, comes about according to our thinking. Without technology, we would lack the efficiency, comfortability, but we would still exist. This being said, technology is of instrumental value, meaning it's something in addition to our being. Whereas on the other hand, our very nature is intrinsic value, as it is simply being. I do believe that we can achieve harmony with the robots simply by acknowledging the intrinsic value within us versus the instrumental value in the robots. As acknowledging the differences in values that each party brings will allow for the right kind of progress. I do find it interesting that technology is a result of our mind, and for the longest time, our minds were unexplainable. But I think that now, more than ever before, we are in a way able to begin to explain what's really going on in here. I think that the future of AI is very, very exciting. A lot of jobs are being taken over by AI and robots already. And yes, we're hearing a lot of complaints. I'm thinking that this is just the uncomfort of change itself, and that in time we will find that this change is actually very, very beneficial. And then we'll reach a point where we're all out of jobs, and though it will be an uncomfortable period, we will then be able to use our time to create and dive into our true passions and our art and express ourselves in the most authentic way that we had not expressed ourselves before. Until then, it will be very challenging, as we'll have to have a lot of discussions, lots of improvements to make. I do see the light at the end of the tunnel, and I feel like we are moving in that direction. I do think that with the future generation, education will change in a way where it will incorporate creating and sort of building an AI. So basically, each student, as they are going through school, works on creating a robot. And then when they graduate, the robot has been completed, it's been made, and that robot goes on and does the laborious job that it was intended to do. And forgot to mention that that student would intentionally create this robot to work a specific job. So the student would choose what job the robot goes off and does, and in knowing what the end goal should be, they would build that robot in that way so that that robot would be able to successfully do that job. So the student, by the time they graduate, that robot is created and able to go on and do that 9-to-5 job, while the students, they themselves are able to then just soul search and figure out their true passions. And that's what I think the meaning of life is to create and really express your authentic self. If you're not doing that, then what are you doing? we need to put our trust in the human beings that are creating these robots. Like I mentioned, it's important to always remember that this all started from the human mind. But if you trust the human beings to make good decisions and care about others, then you have nothing to fear. It is, of course, a lack of trust in each other, which causes us to have these irrational fears of robots taking over the world and destroying humanity. The robots can't do that themselves. They don't have free will. It's a result of the human being who created it. Of course, we have to consider system issues as well. That is also not the robot's fault. It's not like the robot's like, I'm gonna have a system issue so that I can take over the world. Like, no, it's a result of the external environment, not something the robot does upon itself. So we can't blame the robot. It's really up to us as a collective to be successful in this execution. The errors and the issues that we foresee and have fear for, it's not in the actual technology, rather it's in our minds. We see how things happen. The robots are going to end up mimicking our fight, and it's going to turn out to be a disaster. I don't want that to happen. I don't think you want that to happen. I just want to conclude by saying that when making important decisions about how to progress with AI, it's important to have a philosopher in the room. Philosophy is something that distinguishes us from the robot. As we adapt these new technologies, always be philosophizing and self-reflecting to stay true to your humanness and not go astray. That concludes this video. I've finished my makeup look. I am ready to terrorize the streets in this makeup. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.